We are on. There will be a stack on the top left corner, so don't worry when the tables are changing there all the time. It's supposed to work that way. I'm currently having 20 tables running, so my commentary might not be perfect. But hopefully everything goes well. I have never streamed so many tables at once, so it's interesting to see how it works on the computer as well. On this left side, I'm taking the most important tables out of the stack. So today, our special game will be Sunday warm-up. It's on the bottom left. Then we are having the games that we are farthest away. So we have two 180-mans that we are almost in the money. And as I said, my commentary will probably be more intermittent because there is a lot to do. But I hope this also answers some questions on how you can play like 20 or more tables, because that's exactly what we are doing. Ace-3 suited, I didn't recognize what table, but I'm thinking about 3-betting button for sure with Ace-3 suited. He's touching it, so I don't start the fight against him. Him on the Sunday warm-up. If it's one of these stacked tables, it's really hard for me to find the hand. So hopefully you are okay with it. But on these three other tables, it's relatively easy for me to even revisit a hand if something interesting happens. On the $3.5 rebuy, we are in a quite interesting spot in a way. We are in a quite interesting spot in a way because we are 7th largest stack and there are still at least 4 tables remaining. But still there are larger stacks or about equal stacks a lot on the same table. And sorry, Korpisoturi, just can't find the hand so quickly. I'm having more than I can chew for the beginning of this coaching for sure, but it should be better in a while. I just flatted this guy because I thought that the other guy, if he's shoving, he's playing pretty honestly, and usually I'm going to get in a pot that there is a lot of extra dead money in. I should have continuation bet that one on the Sunday warm-up. And quite probably there will be more than my fair share of screwing up some hands, because the more busy I am, the more I will screw up hands. But that's one way your edge is going to be smaller when you are playing more tables, because you are having less time. When you are playing stacked, you are less likely to remember what did you have, how did you get there for a table. But usually when something starts happening in a stacked table, I'm trying to remember the players. I'm trying to remember what happens in the game. So I'm using the avatars that other players have. That's one reason that I don't have an avatar, because I don't want other people to easily find out the play. And in here we are having the drawest board ever, but we are having a middle set, and we are going broke there if someone gives us action. And we bubbled one $15 game. I have cashed already in two two $3.5 rebuys, but haven't had the deep runs yet. And we are getting action. Hopefully it's a draw. Oh, it's even better than a draw. It's a weaker made hand, and that's awesome for us. I don't blame him for playing the ace queen like he played, because it's also quite likely that we can have a lot of draws. I usually hate this kind of situations if you are having a large stack and you don't have the ability to do much with it, because you have even larger stacks on your table, or all the large stacks are on one table. I usually hate those spots, but you play what you are dealt. I found a game that we are closing the bubble in. It's an interesting game in a sense that I'm at over 6 times the starting stack, and I have no knockouts. I could have bet the river, because it's quite unlikely that he has an ace and I could get some value from there. Well, we split the pot. When we are not having position, I think it's better to shove the about 20 big blinds when we have ante-ace and button opens. It's always nastier to play without position. We need to adjust this one a bit.
Good evening. And I'm happy to join your session, and the first hand that I see is aces.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We are only having 16 tables, so this starts getting easy.
So when we started, or when you started a few minutes ago, you had 20 tables, now you have 16, and some good stack sizes I see.
Yeah, I was trying to get as interesting start for the coaching as we could by playing a lot of tables beforehand. Kind of icky spot. I would have wanted to open the Jack-8 suited there, but I thought that they are 2-3-bet happy and they are having nice stack sizes, and we are quite near the bubble, so they are having the perfect opportunity as well. So that's something that usually I don't do, that I adjust to players only after I have seen how they play, but that was adjusting more to the opportunities.
Yeah, you can call me Heisenberg. Yeah, actually I just arrived back to Tallinn 1 hour ago, so I just decided to hide my bad hair day, aka sleeping on a boat with my hat on, and just put a different kind of hat on and not worrying about my hair, like as if you could care less, but anyway. I really like this one. You may remember it from the one voting we had previously, and then we had that Stetson Harrison way to handle that, and it's part of that tradition.
Boykki asked that I doubled in Sunday warm-up and what happened. We got against Big Pocket. Big Pocket got something like 800 chips left after I doubled up through him, and I got tens, and we got three-way to a flop that was 9-10 queen with 2 hearts, and we got it in. He got an ace queen without any draws, and I got a set of tens, so it was quite the likely double up for me. I don't like the king on there, but I think we are still having good chances to win the pot, especially if the guys don't get more interested about the pot. I think the king is... This is probably slightly a tight fold. And I think that the Heisenberg hat, it should be more square. That's more of an Al Capone hat than a Heisenberg hat, because that's like what's the most important content of this broadcast would be not how to play poker, but what kind of hats there are in different TV shows.
No, it's about how to be awesome. Maybe it just means that I need to get more wide collection of hats from now on.
This is really annoying when someone opens 3x and there are just horrible stack sizes for me to shove it and horrible stack size for me to call it, and 8s is a horrible hand to fold because it always feels weak if you are folding 8s. And this is the likely outcome if you are calling it, but it surprises me a bit that the guy was overshoving twice a pot there.
What did you think he had on that spot? It was really weird push.
Yeah, but I think that like if he had a meddling pair, he's ahead of me because I have a small meddling pair. And there are also like tons of jacks and queens, and I just don't think that I would be good there. It would have been better if there would have been a better draw on the board, so that he could have draws that I have something like 50% or more against, but we are having a crappy day there with ace king on the Sunday warm-up, because I just can't see that play out in a way that's not crappy. I think on that board we are getting away with quite a smallish c-bet, and we are getting folds often enough. And with the ace king we should still have quite nice. If we are getting to showdown, we should also have quite okay showdown equity. I didn't fire the second barrel because I thought that the guy, if he's not giving up on the flop, he's quite unlikely giving up on the turn when that didn't change anything.
And then he tried to trap you and you just checked, luckily.
If I wouldn't have had any showdown value, I probably could have bet the river. And it was quite lucky that I didn't hit the king or ace on the river.
True.
Non-club, a club king would have been something that I could get away from, but quite easily. But I think I could have lost some money there with a different run out. I was lucky this time.
Let's keep it that way.
We are in the money there. Something like ace-jack suited, ace-queen off, I would have shoved there in an instant, but ace-10 off is just too weak. Even though I think I should have some fold equity, but I don't think that general the guys are opening and folding on the early positions that much, so probably a good fold with ace-10.
Yeah, well, he opens up from the early spot, so I don't think it's a good idea to go broke there with ace-10 off.
Uh, 1.9k. If he would be there with 100% range, I think somewhere around 80% this would be plus EV to call. But I don't have enough data on him, even though he has had like one opportunity and he has used it, but that doesn't tell me anything. And we are having all the chats open. We are having Justin TV's chat. Then we are having Poker Imania's Finnish and English chat open, but we would prefer to use the Poker Imania English chat because it's the easiest for us to follow, and it would be right there on the screen.
And usually it's not this hectic at the beginning of the MTT coaching, but this time Aarnimetsa tried to make something different. So he started his session, I don't know, 1.5 hours ago.
Over 2 hours ago.
Or 2 hours ago, hoping that he could show you some end games of the MTT tournaments. And luckily he's been running good, so there is more than he was hoping for, I guess, or thinking about. So that's why there are lots of things happening at the moment. And if you have any questions about the hands that goes by, we try to catch them, but it's a bit more harder at the moment than it's usually.
I have cashed in like 2 tourneys already, so there could have been even final table action in the beginning, but we haven't been lucky in the end game, which is pretty much the topic of the day. But I think we will get there because we are still having quite a lot of nice stacks, and we are having 15 tables running. So I think that some table is bound to go a long way. And this $11 progressive knockout is getting even more weird, that I have not knocked out anyone, but I still have a large stack, so I just have I have increased my stack without. I'm betting small on the 8-8-4 because I think on the 8-8-4 paired flop you are quite unlikely to get value. I think that Jack 4 suited is on the edge, and it could be a good push. I was just quite sheepish in there, but with Jack 4 off it would be an easy fold, but suited it's harder to fold. And we got lucky in the 450 because our opponent had a lower overpair than we did, and we got it in really good. As we are on the end game, stack sizes are usually quite shallow, and when stack sizes are shallow, I'm trying to increase my edge in keeping the pots smaller, so I'm going to be min-raising a lot. And there are just some players that when I think that the players are too likely to call, that I'm going to be shoving and over-shoving my good hands even. Over-shoving my good hands because I think that I'm going to get more than enough calls on some spots. I'm trying to explain these spots when they happen. And now I'm shoving ace-7 suited because I know for sure that it's going to be plus EV to shove the ace-7 suited. And there are like 2 players that are having quite a nice stack to play against me if I'm playing it differently, so I'm trying to decrease their chances of screwing me over.
And for Vaku, I'm just trying to keep things interesting. Oh, by the way, I'm not Dayah. I'm somebody else. Don't tell her.
And there is someone from United Kingdom, and I guess that was something like Portuguese or Spanish.
I didn't get to see that.
But I think he's going to be a bad player because usually bad players are. are bad-mouthing the others. I'm having just actually 40 big blinds, so it actually makes this a slightly more interesting spot.
That was funny because when you said that he's bad-mouthing something, my first initial thought was that what did you do?
They are not all trying to get me. I think that there is some part of the strategy that usually when you are playing poker and you are playing poker well, you are playing an aggressive strategy, and the aggressive strategy is something that people are getting frustrated against, and that's something that's going to get you abused sometimes in the chat. I just min raised the aces on the stack when I had just less than 10 BBs, because I think that just by raising aces I'm getting there more opportunity for them to play against me in a stupid spot, and if the guys are nits I'm going to open queen 5 off as well, but queen 5 off is a bit sucky because I need to call the button. If the button shoves, he's having such a short stack, so when I need to call, I want to have hands with more equity. And I'm trying to do pretty much everything at the same time, so I'm marking hands, I'm marking people, just when I find a spot that I'm thinking that I have enough time. He bets big. He wouldn't bet big with diamonds, but I think that he would bet big with pretty much most of his kings in his range. And unfortunately, when we are not winning any kings in his range, we are winning some queens, but oh well. Or we are winning all the queens except the 2 pair hands, but when the flush comes through, I think that the guys, some of the weaker guys are overplaying their weaker hands. They're then putting money in bad most of the time when they are getting scared of the board and thinking that they are just thinking that they don't want to fold their good hand, and the good hand now got worse in an instant. And actually I don't even know what makes them do that, but I have seen it a lot that people are getting their money in really bad most of the time when the flush comes through and they are having a good hand before the flush comes through, but the relative value of their hand decreases a lot. We are having a pair and then we are having flush draw, so we are having a lot of equity on the board anyway, and he had such a short stack that I think that the best thing to do would just be to shove it. And there's the one table on the stack that I'm having a big stack in, and I'm going to use the big stack to bully the other people in the table. And I'm having quite an easy spot to play there because there are a lot of short stacks next to me, so I'm going to be just shoving or folding. And actually I need 30 something %. He's quite nitty. And I'm just thinking that against his whole range I'm dominated every time, and if I'm dominated every time I don't even get the 30-ish %. I think I would have needed a spot that would have had just 25% equity requirement for me, but... And hello Sauherran, welcome to the rail. I'm requiring the good luck, but we have been running nicely. We started the hour with 20 tables and we are still 15 tabling. So we have just lost 5 tables. 5 tables during the first 25 minutes of play. And we are actually nearing the final table on one table. That should be interesting because the final table lights are always making the game more interesting.
I think it's a really good idea that they has those final table lights, because then you notice them more quickly, and then you of course need to do some different kind of changes for your play when the final table begins.
Interesting. I open, there's one flat from a reg. There's a cold 3-bet, there's a squeeze. We're both having short stacks. I would have liked if he would have shoved, because then there are more small pairs in his range that I'm going to dominate. So the 9s might seem like a weak fold, but I think that his range is too strong there to do anything else. And that's the problem, that I don't like to fold 9s when we are just 22 big blinds deep, but that's just a spot that I can't invent a better strategy. And when we are just having 20k to call and we are fighting for 56k pot, it's an easy call with king 10, and we are actually close to getting the odds even against queens. And he's just 7 big blinds deep, and I think that he's going to be behind my range. And that's actually a table that should be nearing the bubble, because, and that's something that if you are playing these 180 mans, you need to be aware of when the bubble should be, when on the different, I think you could call them inflection points are. Like, when you are nearing the bubble, you can abuse people more, especially if you are having a large stack. Then also with good large stacked players, you can call wider because they are going to be abusing the bubble. And now there are 30 players left, so I'm going to move it on top of the other. And we are getting good action for our top set. I don't think that he's going to be folding when he raises me. So it's just going to be ship it in and then hoping good run for the cards that are coming, because there were a ton of draws on the table.
It's a good idea to put all the money in on the flop, because then you just don't need to worry about the bad cards later on.
And there's also because the board was so drawy that like every straight draw has something. You can have a ton of flush draws. You are just happy to get it in with top set against the draw, because you are in a good shape and the draws are more likely to get it in on the flop than they are going to be getting it in on the turn.
True.
We are having a slightly interesting spot here as well. We are having one spot with and especially in here as well, we are having a interesting spot when we are having ace queen out of position, and this is slightly interesting. He gave me such a good price that I'm pretty priced in for a call, but still I'm having too large of a stack to ship. And I'm going to give him another opportunity to bet, and I'm not going to be folding when I'm having an open ender and top pair. And on the river I'm going for some thin value. Even though there is a queen, I don't think that it's too likely that he has a queen, and I think that I'm going to get some value even from ace high if the guy is thinking. Or
as you can see, the more tables you have, the more you have interesting spots. Let's just hope that you don't run out of the time.
yeah, and it's harder. Like in here, I would have had to bet the turn. Checking the turn wasn't a good plan of action, because I think that when he had checked already, and we didn't get anything value from Hecto. 21 big blinds, and he shoved it instantly over UTG, and because he shoved it instantly over UTG, I'm going to fold tens. I probably would have called jacks there, but tens, I think that even though his action speaks that he should have a small pair or medium pair, but because he's 3-betting UTG open, his range gets a lot tougher than it would be if he would have been like on a cutoff 3-betting hijack open. So, and we are having one table in the money there. It's actually pretty hard to try to adjust to these tables, that because we are having 3 tables that are on the bubble or close to the money, and I'm going to make this stack on the top right. I'm usually doing it as well when I'm playing sit and goes, that I'm having 2 stacks, that I'm having my main stack with all the early games, and then I'm having the stack for all the bubble action that needs more of my attention. And then there are a few tables that I'm going to pay more attention to. That there is going to be the table that's closest to the final table, or
And not just close. It's a final table, ladies and gents. We have a final table.
Uh, 16 big blinds. Would you shove 7-8 suited if the big blind is aggro? Yeah, but it depends, because I think with 7-6 suited, the big blind should be crazy aggro that shoving 7-6 suited gets more plus EV than min raising it. I know that there are some players that are crazy aggro, but I think on that spot, when you are shoving it, it's so little plus EV that you are getting a better deal if you are playing it a bit differently.
You have a huge stack there. You're the chip leader by far, I guess.
Not by far. I think there will be close to 100k stacks, but I'm having a perfect table to use the big stack advantage. And I'm going to, with ace jack off, I'm going to call everyone, because even this guy, he's trying to be so aggro, so it's going to be a perfect opportunity for me to chip up there. But so Korpisoturi, there are spots that I would shove 7-8 suited, but I think there are quite a little spots that I would do that. But that's just because I think that I'm not just thinking about what's the plus EV choice, but I'm thinking what's the most plus EV choice, and perhaps also because I'm playing sit and goes where we are going to have ICM limitations. I'm probably a bit more risk averse even in the MTTs. Him in opens, I'm having a perfect stack to re-steal, and even the hand is quite nice there too. So we got a good opportunity in there. And on the final table, I think that our strategy is going to be that we are going to try to own the table. Or we are not going to try to own the table, but we are going to try to double up usually we are trying to own the table, but on that table we are just having such a short stack. We are just trying to survive, to get the bigger stack, and then we are trying to own the table.
You just shipped ace king on the top right table. You had 20 big blinds, I guess. No, 20, 10. I think it's always a plus EV, but I was thinking that is there anyone who's inclined to shove if you just raised?
I think I lost that spot, so I don't have an opinion about it. And Korpistori asked me about the queen 5 suited. I folded 800 with 4 big blinds when there were 5 behind me. I can't remember that, but I remember some king crap off that I folded there. So, and I thought that I'm going to get a better hand next hand. So, and with just 4 big blinds left, and there is one guy that min raised, we are going to get it in with a smile. And we are just hoping to run good because we are not probably in the best shape there. And the guy min raised and folded 4 big blinds deep, which means an instant purple heart for that guy.
That's pretty talented move.
I think that's pretty plus EV for me to know that player.
That's so true.
And now we had a small stack. We haven't shown our cards once, but we are now having a meddling stack, and we are going to be in contention. And there is the guy that folded a really short stack, and we are probably going to have a nice spot against him. With Kill4Fun, with the table stacked, how do you know what has happened after an all-in, or do you care? It depends on the spot. I'm sometimes moving tables to, like I could move this Sunday warm-up and this table if there would be something that's interesting for me. Like I would wonder the guy's range when he does something unordinary, or like here I think this would be that I would have liked to see. If there's something I like to see, then I move the tables. But usually it doesn't matter what happens. And I think that's also something that can be de-tilting for you. I don't know if that's the right word, but sometimes it's tilting when you are having a crappy card run after money has went in. There are some guys that are going to tilt there, and if you are playing stacked, you are not going to tilt when guys are outdrawing you because you don't see it, and you just get another table when that happens. And wouldn't the stop and go be better in that spot? Veini, could you elaborate a bit more on what spot would it be so? And he's re-raising. And even though he's re-raised a lot, now that he re-raised, he got me dominated, and that's something that you can be slightly tilting. It's close. Against the more opening player, I could have even shoved the 8s when he opens 3x there. But it's just too little for me to be calling there. It's too little. It's too short of a stack for me to do much. So I don't like the spots where I need to fold hands that are hands that are good, but you are going to be doing that. And we need 30%, we are going to get it, and 9 king, so he had a 9, which is quite surprising, but that's something that I like to see what people do have on those spots. But so if you could elaborate a bit better on what kind of spot it was, and if I can remember it, then I'll give my opinion. But usually a stop and go is good when you are having such a short stack that you are not going to have a lot of fold equity. You are the first to act on the flop, and the player is not. If the player is not reggy, it's even better to stop and go then, because players that are not regs are folding way too much to a stop and go.
Yeah, it was the situation when there was that dumbass who min-raised fold with 4 big blinds.
Oh yeah, I think on that spot the stack sizes are a bit short for a good stop and go, but it could be an option as well. It's just when there are antes and stuff that you are just having like 1/3 of the pot when you are calling his open with the 4 big blind stack, and I don't think that you are going to get the opponent to fold. Like for a good spot to stop and go would be something that you are having something like from 40% to 125% of the resulting pot on the flop, so you are getting good risk to reward ratios to shove there, and you are also getting your opponent to fold a lot.
Ooh, we got someone chatting there. Aarnimetsa, welcome back. How are you doing today? We are doing pretty hectic around here.
We started today with 20 tables, and now we are down to just 11, and it starts feeling serene and calm in here, like I have all the time in the world.
Don't push it. Yeah, you had a different kind of plan for tonight's coaching, and please you can leave us some feedback that how does it feel to be following this kind of coaching, because it's quite a lot harder in a sense because you cannot see all the situations completely. But by doing this in this way, I think you can see more really interesting spots from the end game.
And that's our topic for today, end game, and we are hoping to get some nice end game spots today, and we have already had one final table, at least 2 cashes, and there are more cashes and bubbles brewing there on the top right corner. It's going to be a slightly interesting. I'm going to be min-raise folding that one. And that's something that I don't think that most of the people are doing, that they are min-raise folding that early on. But I think that when people aren't playing much against you, they are not doing the shoves that often that they should be doing. It's going to be good. And we are getting a nice hand to balance it out when we fold it to a 12 big blind shove. Usually I'm not worried about balancing at all when I'm playing MTTs, because MTTs I can be plenty unbalanced, and I'm not going to play enough with opponents that it's going to bite me, because I'm going to play so few hands against the players that they usually shouldn't see enough hands to make an opinion about how I'm playing certain spots. So I'm playing really exploitative games. Yeah, Bernbacks, I think Trent told us in the Finnish coaching that you chopped up the 3:30, so congrats.
Yeah, definitely. Congratulations. Feel free to share some tips for us. For example, how to run better with the aces.
That's something there should be someone who's really lucky that should be holding the coaching, but I don't think that there are many lucky poker players. Usually everyone just complains how unlucky they are.
What did you think about that interesting 3-bet from that Christians?
I already forgot about it.
It was against your aces on the lower right table.
On this 540 I'm going to set mine the 7s. Christian did...
I don't remember the stack size, but
it's...
probably not a good idea.
Yeah, he doesn't have any fold
No.
equity against me, so that's horrible play from Christian to be 3-betting there. Even though I have folded against 12 big blind stack, I have been playing pretty aggro there. But the problem with him 3-betting 5-6 suited there is going to be that I'm never folding and he's never ahead of me with like any hands, so that's something that shows that there is value in the games. I think this is something that he's going to lose a lot of money with.
Maybe you should try and mark him as well.
I think I'm going to require at least one more hand, one more stupid hand, or then I'm going to require some stats, but I don't have stats, and I have one slightly stupid hand. I think that's also a hand that some reggae players can, and he's opening such a short stack. Now I'm taking a wait a moment. Actually, when it's on the bubble, it's going to be more like wait a moment.
Yeah, take your time. No rush. Make a good decisions.
And I think soon we are going to see another final table. And we are. And now we are in a different kind of situation. Last time when we got to the final table, we were the short stack, and now we are arriving with a big one. So when we are arriving with a big one, we are going to be more aggressive.
It's a good thing that Carlitos is not right next to you, because he has the biggest stack, and if he's a reg he can also tease you quite a bit with that.
But if he would have been on my right side, I wouldn't have minded, because then I could have some nice abuse spots against him. Well, jacks on the turn, like what can you hope for with jacks?
10 on the river.
Sevens with UTG open and MP call, topless table. Is 3-bet shove out of question? Depends on how tight the UTG is, because if the UTG is really tight, he's going to get it in every time, and for some part of his range I'm going to be in a really sucky spot, and all the other parts here, a tight UTG's range, I'm going to be pretty much flipping, so I just don't get enough equity. And this is a close spot. If I have more information about Carlitos in that kind of spots, then this is a shove, because this guy, when he's he's away. He's going to be shoving a lot, and now that I have this information, next time that would happen I would be shoving it, and shoving it with a smile.
Yeah, so he's definitely using his big stack on the final table.
But then there's something that even when he's a reg, he's still, I think he's betting bigger than he should be. And that's something that isn't that good. And for the 7th versus UTG Open and MP call, the 7s will be a shove against. It will be a shove if there is a situation that I'm getting more fold equity than I would deserve by my stack size. That I have a short stack size, but the two other guys are having large stacks, because then the other guy's stack is adding to my pressure, because the UTG would be risking so much more against the other big stack that has just called. So that's something to take into account as well. That in tournament play there are spots that you can also use and Queen 7 suited I should have called it, because there are like 5 people already in the pot, and I would have just needed to complete it. I don't even know where I have tables, so I needed to click a bit.
I think you have 10 tables running at the moment.
Yeah, and I have like 2 bubbles here, or actually this is more than a bubble. I have gotten through the bubble. This is a bubble brewing.
Maybe you could show us the lobby of that final table.
Of course.
Because money is the only thing that interests me. No, just kidding.
It's going to be $500 for the winner, and so it's going to be a nice sized pot to win. And as usual, just getting to the final table isn't going to give you much. Almost all the money is in top 3, so we are going to try to play in a way that's we are not caring that much of getting to the final table and getting the money. We are more caring about increasing our equity. Or like every time you are playing MTTs, you are not playing to win, you are not playing to cash, but you are playing to maximize your equity in every spot. That you are doing the best thing you are going to do when you are taking into account that how much you are cashing, and also how much is the difference between just cashing and winning. So that's something important to take into account as well.
Do you see right now from some information part or somewhere how many rebuys you have had?
I don't know.
Because I thought you... Oh yeah, 1 rebuy and 1 added. You got it cheaply. Surprisingly, I guess.
I have gotten it cheaply like most of the time. I don't think that I have had like 1 or 2 rebuys that I have had to make, and I have played a ton of these, but I have been running really good at the early stages. That's why I had so many tables when we started this one. So we are going to have a break, and we are having 10 tables for the next one. We got a call in the Sunday warm-up with ace-6. Wow. We are dominating, and we are not doubling up, but we are getting into better shape. And how's it looking? Do I have any hands going on?
Nope.
So I'm going to the break, or we are going to the break, and we are going to return. And Vernon backs, I'm going to talk more hockey when we have less tables. But we are going to talk some hockey today.